Who's stealing the bodies from Skeleton Lake? Corpses are being stolen from an eerie lake about 4 miles high, in the Himalaya mountains, and the authorities want to know who's capturing the floating carcasses. There are actually 3 mysteries. Besides the theft of the bodies, scientists are wondering how they got there in the first place and who the heck they are. The initial theory surfaced in 1942 during the Second World War when a game warden discovered the gruesome secret of the tiny body of water. He speculated that the skeletons, some with flesh still on them, were casualties of a secret Japanese armed forces unit preparing to invade India. The theory was quickly thrown out when it was found that the dead were far too old to be 20th century soldiers. They also were far too old to be 19th, or even 18th century warriors. Also, they were not all male. Some of the dead were women. The ranks of the cadavers also included a number of children. The watery graveyard is called Mystery Lake or Skeleton Lake, but it's hardly bigger than a large puddle. The deepest part of the lake is barely 7 feet and its length is far less than a pass thrown by Tom Brady of the New England Patriots. And yet this little pond, barely 50 yards wide, contains the remains of literally hundreds of people, the oldest of whom is suspected to have been submerged in the watery tomb for more than 1,200 years. Skeleton Lake is in an uninhabited part of India. Though the small bowl of water is flanked by jagged rocks and glaciers, and is surrounded by snow-capped mountains, it's still a popular place for a number of hardy snow trekkers. The lake is frozen over for a good part of the year, but in moderate weather when the ice melts, the skeletons are plainly visible in the clear water. They lie on the bottom of the pond, just 7 feet below the surface. Legend says there was a massive storm that suddenly swooped over the area, about 1,000 years ago. Dozens of people perished instantly and their bodies were plunged into the shallow lake. They laid in the mud at the bottom of the lake for more than 10 centuries until a game reserve ranger first spotted the bones of the dead in 1942, during World War II. At first it was suspected that the dead were from a Japanese army unit that was poised to attack India. Even before scientists began testing to determine the age of the bones, the theory they were modern soldiers was quickly dispelled. The idea that they were from the 1900s was squashed when spearheads, leather slippers and other ancient artifacts were found. A team from National Geographic recovered about 30 skeletons for scientific study, but there may be another 200 or so still submerged. So far it has been found that all of the dead perished from blows to the head, from falling objects. The latest theory is that massive hailstones fell from the sky and killed up to 300 people in the area. The government of India is worried that if looters remain unchecked, all the skeletons will be stolen. Efforts are underway to protect Skeleton Lake from further losses and to turn the area into a tourist attraction. I have to wonder how many people will want to spend their summer vacation by flying to India, then struggling 4 miles up the steep side of a snow-clad mountain to look at a bunch of dead bodies in a tiny lake just 7 feet deep. Time will tell. As for me, I think I'd rather spend my summer on West Dennis Beach on Cape Cod looking at a bunch of live female bodies in Nantucket Sound.